Ali Drew for Seconds Out here with Mr. Frank Warren. Franks, we just had a face-off between Sonny Edwards and Mthalane. It's a tough fight for Sonny on Friday. What do you make of that fight?
Well, it is a tough fight. You know, he's fighting the guy who Ring Magazine considered to be the best in his weight division. The champion is a very powerful fighter. He's strong. He's done everything he's asked me. He's a big puncher. So he is up against it. Having said that, I think he's got the tools to beat him. He's got a tremendous boxing brain. I think he can outbox him. He thinks he can do this. He thinks he can do that, Sonny himself. So we will see. But you know, big punchers are exciting, but boxing's not all about being the biggest puncher. Otherwise, you wouldn't have judges. The judges are there to score fights, and a lot of fights go to the end. And I always say, you know, a really good boxer will always beat a puncher, and I hope that's going to be the case on Friday.
Yeah, and it's, you know, it's his first time at world level. It's time now for Sonny Edwards to really make a statement. You know, he's always been confident and always called people out. You know, and now it's time for him to back it up.
It's time for him to do the business, and I think he's capable of doing it. Albeit he's in with a real good quality fighter. You got, you know, he's showing a big pair to get up there, you know, in the ring with this guy and take this fight. I mean, you know, viewers over here have seen him Zolani Teti over here is a very good fighter who beat Paul Butler, stopped Paul Butler. You know, he beat Teti, stopped him. So you know, that's a benchmark for you to look at what Sonny's in the ring with.
And a big fight for Michael Conlon as well against Baluta.
Yeah.
He's in action. What do you make of that fight?
It's a tough fight and it's a good fight, but you know, Michael's an excellent fighter, and I expect him to prevail in a very tough fight.
I just want to have your thoughts on the statement from Bob Arum about AJ Fury. He's saying he's pessimistic about it happening. You've sort of said similar things all along, really. What do you make of those comments and where that fight is at now?
Well, I think a lot of it's frustration because everybody's been told that we're being told by it was agreed between all the parties that Eddie Hearn would be speaking to the particular territory we're interested in putting the fight on. Not all of us, you know. That was it. So he's been doing that, and he's been telling not just us, the press and everybody, that there'll be a contract within the following day. And as I've been saying every time I'm asked, well, we've not received it yet, and we'd received something last week, which weren't in the form what we, all of us, our side of the table, were too happy with, and I think Bob's vented his frustration. I'm sort of frustrated. I know Tyson's obviously very frustrated, but I got a call from the territory where we hope this fight's going to take place. I got a call from yesterday, and they were very upbeat and said to me that we should be receiving something. And you know, so I'm looking forward that we do get something that reflects what we're being told is the deal. Because
there was talk that Bob Arum has mentioned Wilder, you know, Fury and Wilder 3. Is that likely to be what happens instead?
Tyson, if he doesn't fight AJ, he's going to have a fight, and Wilder's one of the guys there that it could be. You know, there's no secret. There's an arbitration going on as we speak, and that it could be him. I don't think Tyson's got any problems, you know, fighting him. He's not the one who pulled out the fight. It was Deontay who wasn't available all of last year. Was it July onwards? That wasn't Tyson's fault. So, the end of the day, this will all resolve in. I genuinely believe in the next 72 hours, we will either have a fight or we'll be moving on. That's my opinion.
Well, just moving on to another one of your fighters, young Dennis McCann. Just want to ask you about why you pulled him out of the board-ordered English title fight and what your sort of plans are for him. I'm looking at
a different title for him, and I'm working on that. And that was my decision to pull him out of that. You know, I'm looking for something else. We're going to fight in June, and I felt he needed a rest. He's been in the gym constantly. He's had a lot of fights on a regular basis, and he's still a very young man, and I wanted him to have, you know, to just get a little break from it, for you know, take time out, not be in the gym continuously, and then as I say, we're we will look at what we were delivering for him. But he'll go in the direction I want him to go in, not what anyone else wants him to go in.
And just before we finish, how do you sort of manage, especially during the sort of pandemic times, where you're putting on great fights, but you also need to manage it to, you know, so your fighters don't get defeats. So it's getting the balance between the good fights, but, you know, risking the defeats. How do you manage that balance? Well,
it's difficult, but the few fights that we've had where guys have been, you know, in that couple of our guys have come out the wrong side of it, have been title fights that were ordered by the Boxing Board of Control. They're not matches I made. They were ordered, and nobody wanted to pull out the fights. They went for the fights. You know, Denzel had no desire or wish to vacate the title. In fact, if you remember before the fight, Felix, his trainer, said he was going to pull him out of the fight if we won the purse bid. Well, I'm sure Felix is pleased that didn't happen. And if you look at the same thing with the heavyweight title fight between Joe Joyce and Daniel Dubois, that game that was ordered by the board, and neither of them would wish to be back at it. You've got to take your hat to them. They're fighting men. That's what they wanted to do. They wanted to fight, and they got it on. And it was a very close fight up until the injury that he sustained, you know, from a good performance that Joe put in, and, you know, stopped him from carrying on as far as Daniel was concerned. So he's hopefully lived to fight another day, and he is fighting another day on the 5th of June for the interim world title. And we hopefully can, once this Tyson Fury AJ situation sorted out, we can then make a decision as to where we are with Joe Joyce, because he's been waiting for this Usyk fight. But if Tyson and AJ don't get it on, the WBO are going to order Usyk to fight AJ. So that's why that fight's not done. That's which is, again, beyond our control. So this thing's all got to come to a head, because it's holding a lot of things up, holding a lot of careers up, and we'll make sure that we can move on one way or another, you know, over the weekend.
If it turns out that Usyk fights AJ and Joe Joyce, what direction do you want him to go, and who do you want to see him fight?
It would be the mandatory challenger. He would go straight in at number one, and in the meantime, obviously, you want to keep busy, and we've got to look at some fights that are meaningful fights for him, where he can earn some decent money. You know, he deserves it.
Well, enjoy Friday night's show. Thanks for speaking to me, Frank.
I would do that.